love seeing the reaction of people because we don't tell anyone we're doing it.
Well, I've watched you guys before, so I was ready for it, but I was also excited about it.
There we go.
Yeah.
Well, welcome back to the Good Dude, Good Dad podcast. I'm Jordan.
And I am Ben.
And this is...
Austin.
What's your last name, Austin?
Austin Nieves.
All right, Nieves. So tell us a little bit about yourself. Like, where'd you grow up? What brought you here? And then kind of what you're doing.
For sure. Born and raised in Pasadena. So I'm a Pasadena boy. I've got a twin brother, fraternal, and a little brother. The three of us went to school at the University of Arizona, Bear Down. And I followed my wife here to Orange County. And I'm now a dad of a 1-year-old, Hudson.
Nice.
Yeah.
I have a Hudson too.
Okay.
That's awesome.
There we go.
So we first kind of got connected through Instagram.
Yeah.
Because we had our Good Dude, Good Dad thing going on. And then you have what's called the Dad Meetup, right?
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about that. How did that start? Where did that come from? That kind of stuff.
So soon after we had Hudson, my wife just started to break out of the house. She had all these different events and communities and groups that she was participating in, and I'm a little competitive. I got a little jealous. What the heck? And so I just took to online and tried to see what there were for the dads locally, and there was nothing. A couple of things I found on Reddit, but they ended after 6 months or whatever, so nothing that was active. And figured at the very least I could create a meetup and just see if anybody showed up. And I was the first of my friends to have kids. I'm not sure if you guys had a similar experience.
Yep.
But didn't have anybody to relate to it, so I figured, why not kind of create my own community? And I figured I probably wasn't the only one experienced that. And first meetup ended up having like 15 guys come through, guys I didn't know, and it was funny. I cruised through not knowing like what to expect.
Yeah.
And started talking to guys and introducing myself, like, oh, you're the host, and I was like, oh, I guess I am. Like I just came to like meet a bunch of dudes and had no expectation after that.
Yeah.
And it's just grown. So I started last November, and now we're getting to a point where I'm hosting them twice a month, once in North Orange County, once in South Orange County, getting about 20 to 30 dads and partnering with a bunch of different like local businesses. We're actually going to be hosting a meetup in August at your location down in San Juan Capistrano, and yeah. But it's honestly it's super simple. It's just I find a time and a place for guys to meet. Usually it's at a coffee shop. Recently for Father's Day, but a bunch of guys had been requesting to meet up at some breweries.
Yeah.
And we bring the kids. So I was hesitant to invite I didn't like the optics of inviting dads and kids to meet up at a brewery, but we just did one this last weekend. We had a photographer there doing shoots of the dads and their kids, and so I'm just trying to figure out ways to be able to bring the guys together, provide a little bit of value, and just a community for them.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool. What you'd been doing it since November, you said?
Yeah.
So what is that, like 9 months, 8 months?
Yeah.
I don't know, whatever that is.
Yeah.
What has like been your hardest challenge, not just as building a new community, because obviously there's challenges in that, but for you yourself, like directly, what are some challenges that you've faced in trying to create what you're creating?
Man, I mean, it's just the typical challenge of parenthood of juggling everything, right? I mean, this is just me doing it on my spare time. I'm not, they're free meetups for the individuals that come, the vendors that are coming through. I'm not charging them to pay me. Like it's just everything's free, and so being able to find the time to coordinate, orchestrate it, throw it on social media, throw it on Eventbrite. That's probably the biggest thing, and the other part, it's also just the consistency, right? Like,
yeah,
I'm taking time away from my family a little bit. I'm separating time from my wife. I am bringing my kid there, so it is a good time for her to be able to have a little bit of her time. Whether she needs to get her nails done or just wants to like veg for a little bit. But since I've been growing it and since the community's been growing, there is a little bit more of a weight on my shoulders to be able to like maintain this and to be able to keep it going and to adapt to what these guys are, asking for and requesting, so I think a lot of it is just maintaining and kind of keeping, you know, just keep moving forward, because it's a lot to orchestrate, and especially, you know, I've got we've built some great relationships. I've got a gal, like a mobile coffee cart company, that will come meet us at the park, and she sells coffee there, and
That's cool.
so it's a lot of moving pieces. But I think the biggest part is just staying organized, and I usually try to keep things scheduled 2 months in advance. So
Yeah.
again, our schedules are busy, so be able to give the dads the opportunity to mark it on the calendar and block off that time. So it's just a lot of moving pieces, and just making sure I'm able to keep everything in order, and make sure that I'm just providing for everybody.
Yeah. What about more so on the, I don't know if you've had these thoughts or feelings, but some of the stuff that we're trying to do on the podcast is to genuinely, you know, bring out true emotion in certain things. Because there's always this stigma that, you know, guys can't talk about stuff, right?
Yes. Yes.
So with that, like when you first started, were there any type of internal fears that you were facing? Any type of, you know, are guys going to think I'm weird for wanting this? Like anything like that?
Well, you know what? You're so spot on, by the way. And I want to hit on a couple of things there. Is one, like there's just a stigma around guys hanging out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know, like a mandate's like so weird, right? Like just like hitting up your buddy to like go grab lunch, right? Like it's always, usually it's like around like, you know, we got to go watch, like it's got to be like a game or a beer or a drink, right? But like you can't just like meet up with one of your guys and just like talk.
Yeah.
So that was one of it. But then two is there's just this stigma of dads hanging out with just their kids and not having their partner, and them scheduling their own time with their kids.
Yeah.
And so I've had a lot of guys that end up going there, and it's because their wives have forced them to come through, you know. And like, yeah, like, you know, my wife saw you on Instagram and she sent me here, and it's like, I get it. Like,
Yeah.
I totally get it. I understand that you're breaking out of your comfort zone. I really appreciate you guys coming through. But as you see, like, there's a bunch of cool dudes here, from all walks of life, different aged kids, you know, soon to be dads, new dads. I mean, I've had the first meetup. I had a dad that came through. He has 4 kids, all of them out of college.
Sheesh.
And he was like the man. He was just giving us all of this great advice and different things that he implemented into his children's life growing up, to be able to set them up for college and for, you know, life. And so there's definitely a stigma around getting the guys to come there. And so I think that was a big thing for me too, right? Like, what am I going to talk about?
Yeah.
You know, like how open am I going to, like, are we going to talk about things? Are we not going to talk about things? And as I've started doing it, and seeing more guys and having more conversations, you know, I kind of open it with me being vulnerable first.
Yeah.
It's like, man, we're, you know, Hudson's sick right now, you know, and so my wife's sick too. Hudson woke up at 2:30 last night. You know, I was with him and just battling him with it until 4:30, and then I woke up at 6. My wife had to go straight to work, and, you know, then I had to, you know, manage that and get him, you know, settled before I came here. So I can have those conversations, kind of open up the doors to those other guys, and they're like, oh man, like, yes, like the work-life balance, the late nights, the, you know, just figuring out, you know, maintaining the relationship with your partner. And so that's a big way for me to be able to get them to start opening up, because again, a lot of them come kind of lost and confused and not sure what to expect of it. But I really am trying to make a focus on that. And so I actually created a Discord channel for my group to be able to have those conversations. So, you know, we've got a bunch of different channels of, you know, meetup ideas, help and support, tips and tricks. Like, do you guys have like anything that you want to give away if, you know, your kid's grown out of a stroller or clothes or whatever? And so I open up a lot of dialogue there as well. And then lastly, you know, we're in the month of June. I didn't realize this, but it's Men's Mental Health Month.
Yeah, I just saw that the other day too.
And so never knew that.
Yeah.
But I opened it up to my community that we're offering a free 30-minute virtual therapy session for any of the dads that want to just have someone to talk to. Obviously, you know, I'm not a therapist, so, you know, nobody knows, you know, who's signing up for it or whatever. There's a
Yeah.
link on the Instagram page for it, but wanting to be able to give, again, those resources to these dads to, one, let them know that you don't need to bottle it up, but two, if you don't feel comfortable talking to your wife or your partner or your friends, that they at least have this avenue to be able to, open up that dialogue.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Funny enough, I had an experience just like that this morning. So I had a buddy of mine that's been, we went to high school together with and all that kind of stuff. And he hit me up because he saw we were doing the good dude, good dad stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And he was just like, hey, man, like, I know we don't really know each other and like don't really talk and all that kind of stuff, but like I'm really struggling with some stuff and I'd love someone to talk to. So I was like, oh, dude, let's book a call. Like call me at like in a couple hours. Like, can you talk right now? He's like, no. I was like, you'll call me in a couple hours. Didn't call me. And then like, I was like, weird. Okay. So the next day I shot him a text, nothing. Shot him a text like a couple weeks later, nothing. So it's been like months. And then this morning I was just like, man, I just felt like I need to text him. So I literally shot him a text and he was like, dude, I'm going through some stuff and I'm like, I'm not proud of it. And like, I don't really like talking about it because I'm embarrassed. And I was like, bro, I'm going to tell you right now, like if you've done it, I've probably done it or done worse.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, this is like a zero judgment. And he was like, I'm not sure. But then just downloaded.
Mm-hmm.
And it was so cool because like you were saying, it's that original stigma of just like, we just don't want to like, sometimes you like rely on your wife to be the one to like, oh, my wife brought me here, but it's like, whatever, dude, as long as you get in the door, because you never know. You never know.
You never know. And, I'm not sure how deep we can get here, but like
You can get deep.
So I'd been thinking about the idea again, saw it on social media and it's like, man, that'd be really cool. I've got a couple of connections that I think they'd be open to it. And then I go into my office and get an email that one of the guys in the office had recently passed. And it was one of those like, it can't be Ryan, right? And so I walked over to his desk and I like looked at the placard there. I was like, holy, oh my God, like that's crazy. And there's rumors about what happened, but I'm pretty confident that I think that he took his life. Young guy, beautiful family, like successful in like, I see him every morning. We make coffee, first people in the office. Always good, always offering support and help. People in the office had lunch with him. No one had any idea, and that immediately called my the therapist, and I was like, "Yo, like, okay, we're talking about this. We're putting this into effect. I want to make sure that my community has access to be able to talk to somebody."
Yeah.
It's just crazy, and you just don't know. Everyone's going through something, but you don't. It's usually the people that you're that are quiet, that you just the last people that you would think of that are really going through it, right? So that's awesome that you were able to open up to this guy, and honestly, the fact that you followed up, like that's half it, right? I mean, we got a lot of stuff going on. You guys are busy, but the fact that you followed up and were able to give him that outlet, that's huge.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't even mean it as like a kudos thing. I just was like, I'm now thinking about like how many times do you have a buddy that you're like, hey, let's grab, yeah, well, I'm totally down, I'm gonna do it, and then you just don't, or like, you're like, I really want to text my buddy and just tell him like, hey man, like I really appreciate you, but I'm like, that's kind of weird, like
totally.
Is that weird? It shouldn't be weird,
It shouldn't be.
And how many of those little moments maybe go unnoticed that could be so beneficial, and just what you're doing with that dad meetup, it's like, it might be that one dude that's like, oh yeah, my wife made me, but like, did she really? And maybe you actually do need it,
Yeah, and with like I said, there's dads coming from all walks of life. I mean, I've had people reach out and they realized after a few years that they actually have a child and they didn't even realize it, right? Mm-hmm. And they don't have access to the child, but they also don't have a community, right? And so there's divorced dads. I mean, single dads. I mean, there's all sorts of them, and so it is nice to know that they at least have one place that they can go to be able to relate.
That's so cool.
What's been one of the deepest things that you've seen happen in these groups?
I mean, I nothing too deep yet, to be 100% honest.
Yeah,
again, we're still building those relationships, but I mean, just the one thing that was really great was after one of the first ones, I realized that a couple of the guys had exchanged numbers, and they had a networking lunch after the fact, right? And so, definitely not deep, but it's like
that's a win.
So awesome.
That's a win, dude.
Like, that is so great. I'm so happy people are exchanging those numbers, and my buddy Ryan was like, do you know him? Like, we just had lunch. Like, he was the man. I was like, that was the first time I met him. Like, no idea. But so nothing too deep. But people are definitely building relationships, and it's like, oh, like, you live down the road, I live down the road.
Yeah.
Oh, you have a 1-year-old, so do I. And so that's been really cool to see.
That is cool. Is that something that you feel that kind of keeps pushing you forward to want to keep doing this?
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. And it's from the dads, but also it's from the moms. I have a lot of the moms shoot me DMs like, oh my God, like my husband and my kids love coming to the events. Like, they look forward to it. Right. Or I've got one guy, I think he's from Colombia, and he's like, I followed my wife here. Like, I don't know anybody. I don't have a community. I joined her for her mom walk or her mom groups. But like, this is so, like, I look forward to me being able to come to these and bring my kid. And then mom's like, yo, like, thank you so much for the 3 hours. Like, that was so epic. Like, I got, I finally had like a me day, I went to the spa, or, I was able to binge, like, whatever it is. But getting those messages, like, okay, cool. Like, people are totally benefiting from it.
Yeah.
Wives are probably stoked too. They're like, dude, my husband didn't even call me the entire time because they had something to do.
And it's just so funny too, because the guys are always negotiating something, right? It's like, this is I got to play, a couple extra hours of game tonight. I got to watch I got to watch the basketball game. I got to play some video games. So people are always, they're negotiating something, So it's pretty funny to see that.
That is funny. I think something that Jordan and I have talked about, and if you've listened to some of our episodes, you'll probably will and continue like to hear us say things like, it is very around the guys. We've talked about this a lot, but there are a lot of avenues for moms, right? For women in general. But when you look at it, there aren't as many things for dads.
No.
So like in the church world, you have like your moms, they're called MOPS, mothers of preschoolers. It's a MOPS group. And actually, I don't even think it's in the church world, but a lot of churches host them.
Right.
But it's almost every single church around here has a MOPS group. So there's that group that moms can go to. And then obviously they're calling their friends like, hey, I found this group. Do you want to come with me? And like our church at one point had so many moms in this group.
Yeah.
And then other, my wife's friends would text her and be like, hey, you want to come to this MOPS group? And then there's these mom walks, and then mom forums, mom communities, mom.
Yeah,
mom.
There's the Mom Walk Collective. There's Fit for Mom. There's the Mommy and Me classes. They're endless. They're endless.
So the thing with dads is, it's interesting because, obviously you have your dad meetup, right? We've seen some other ones now that we've been doing this. Obviously, our algorithms on Instagram are a lot more catered to dad stuff.
Right.
So I'm seeing that there are significantly more dad things out there now that we've been focusing on it. But even with it now being targeted to us, there's still not that many. And there's not that many here locally to us.
100%. Yeah. So it's same thing, right? I know there's a dad groups, Stroll and something in Detroit. There's one in Dallas, Texas. So it is great. It's really awesome to see that this generation of dad is trying to, take it on, head first, and really trying to change the narrative on it, right? And being more active and all those things. But it's slowly, they're slowly building. And so like you said, like locally, I didn't see anything, which is why I wanted to start this.
Which, I mean, if I'm being honest, I don't think I would go to one. And I don't mean that in a disrespectful way. It's just, and I don't even have a stigma about it. I guess there is a stigma, but if I'm being genuinely honest with myself, if I didn't know who you were or I didn't know him, there's no way in this planet I'm going.
It's intimidating. But that's the thing, right? Like it's so true. It's valid. I hear it all the time. But another great thing is like, guys will come through and like, Ben?
Yeah.
Like, it's like, oh, like he's an old coworker. I mean, we literally saw each other the other day, and so people are seeing each other from different worlds in this space, which has been cool too. But you're totally right, and you're not the only one, right? Like there's a ton of people out there that it might not be their thing, which is totally fine. But there's definitely a good demographic of guys that want it or need it.
Yeah,
that's so cool. So I was actually I was on a board of directors meeting the other day for our men's ministry for our church. We were talking about it. I think it was 30%. 30% of men right now can say that they don't even have one single friend. Like
That's weird.
they like literally 30% of men right now say, I don't have even one person that I can call my friend, which was like terrifying to me. And it was like something like 45% said, yeah, I have a friend, but not anyone I could call if there was a legitimate emergency. And then it was funny because we were talking about all that, and then we were talking about like, well, like what about like how do you build a men's thing? And one guy just told me, he was like, dude, I think it's just consistency. And it was something you were talking about. He was like, I think it's just consistency because men will prioritize ourselves last.
Yeah.
And like honestly, like it's one of those things where it's like if there's something going on consistently, like at that meetup, it's like I won't go, and then it was like one day I'd be like, I should just go, you know, like, or I have the time, let's go.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I loved your idea, especially after hearing that like 30%, like not even one friend. That was just crazy.
Right.
So let me ask you, like, what is like your eventual goal with this dad meetup? Do you have like a bigger overarching goal, or is it just
No, yeah. So right now, the biggest goal is I'm actually trying to figure out a way to be able to grow it. I've got like a laundry list of individuals in different cities that have requested to try to get it there. I mean, I've got a guy in Tucson, in Phoenix, someone in Fort Worth, in LA, and in Pasadena, and so you know the main focus right now is just making sure I am able to keep it consistent and just hold myself accountable. But I'm hearing, you know, again from my friends of friends or friends, you know, and my people in my sphere that there is a need in other areas, and it's relatively. If someone has a playbook, I mean, all I'm doing is I'm picking a place and a time, and that's it, right? And usually I'm trying to partner it up with a business who'd be willing to host us, and they'll help get the word out as well, right? Kind of a win-win. Yeah. And that's all I'm doing. And so I think the end goal would be able to see if I can grow this and be able to bring it in different cities and just try to give all of those dads and those people in those different communities access to it. I think that's the goal right now. It's just how I can grow it.
That's so cool. Well,
And so with that though, we want to know what makes you, like you yourself, not anyone else, not your group, like just you. What does being a good dude and a good dad mean to you?
Oh man, honestly, it means being present. It means being. I catch myself regularly. I catch myself regularly just behind screens, right? They're just everywhere, and we do our best to limit the screen time with Hudson. But I catch myself coming back from work and being stuck on my phone, or just being exhausted and wanting just to just scroll, right? And so one is just making sure that I'm present and not, behind any screens. But it also just means that I'm being, I'm also being present to my wife, right?
Yes.
I mean, because we are on the way that we have our relationship structured, just we're even partners. We both work. We both have responsibilities around the house. We both have a say in what's happening with our family. And so, being a good parent or being a good dad isn't just being, good to me, but it's being making sure that the family unit is solid. And so as much effort as I'm putting into being a good dad to Hudson, I need to make sure I'm doing that same thing for my wife.
Yeah.
Because I want to make sure that both have actually been very fortunate that we have really great families and parents who are a great reflection of, who I believe that we're a good reflection of. I want to make sure that we're providing that to Hudson as well. And so I think the biggest thing is just, again, being present with Hudson, just being there, right? I mean, it could be just as simple as just being there and just trying to be as good of a person as possible, right? There's going to be flaws. He's going to have some type of trauma with us no matter what we do. Yeah. But as long as he knows that I was there all the time and I was there for those important moments, I think that's really big. And then just making sure that my wife and I are able to be a good representation and just show him what love is, right? Show him what a true partnership is, good communication, being able to express emotion. I've got two brothers. My dad, he played college basketball. We live this macho man lifestyle. we hug a little bit. It's usually like a fist bump and things like that, right? But like I know he loves me, and that's his like form of love. He'll say his things here and there, and I know like that's like him exerting his emotion. But my wife, she called me out early on. She goes, I haven't seen you kiss Hudson on the lips. I was like, yeah, usually just like a kiss on the forehead or whatever. She goes, I want you to know, like, I want you to be able to like get out of your comfort zone and show your son all the love that you have. Yeah. Right. And so I was like, damn, you're right. Again, just like needing to break out of my comfort zone. And so being a good dude, being a good dad is just being present and being as good of a dad and a partner as I can to be to my family.
Yeah. I love that you said that, man, because being present is, we just posted a reel the other day, but being present, we've like genuinely believe is one of the most valuable tools and gifts you can give someone, right? Not just your kids, but your spouse, your relationships with friends, coworkers, just being present. I think we live in a day and age now with social media and all the fun instant gratification and wanting to get likes and wanting to be seen and 1 million followers and all the dumb crap that's, like an instant gratification. But it becomes a lot harder for people, especially I feel like more in the younger generation, but
oh, totally,
is being present and what that genuinely means, and I get asked quite often how I'm able to manage and do all the things that I do. And it's honestly very simple. It's being present and it's being intentional.
Yep.
Right? Intentionality with my presence.
Totally.
And I love that you said that because, not everyone is going to have that same thing. To some other guys, other dads, other dudes, they might think being the best dude and best dad that they can be is providing. Right? Or comfortability, the things that they never had, like, and there's nothing wrong with those things.
No, not at all.
So I love that you said that. I find that encouraging. I want to encourage you in that, that, like you said, you guys, you started this because there was a need, and that you want to build a community. And that's what our goal is with this as well. But for you, where do you find, how do I word this? Where do you find what makes you, like your moral compass, your true north, your, for me, it's my faith, right? So not everyone has the same beliefs I have, and that's rad. So I like to ask that question because there's people that read books, and that's how they find, I want my morals to value what I read in this book.
Right.
So for you, what is that?
Well, I get a lot of it from my partner. I mean, she pushes me, she call me out when I need to be called out. And I mean, she's always pushing me to be better. And, we'll butt heads, but like, it's only for like the best reasons possible. Right. It's, you're being an asshole. You need to communicate better or, like whatever it is. But she's a big reason I feel that a big part of me and like my growth over the years, over the last, we've been with each other for like 10 years, has been from her. But I think a lot of it's community too. Like I get energy from other people. And so like something I used to love to do before we had Hudson was I played flag football. We played on the beach and like playing and competing. Again, that's one thing where like I was in the moment, like I was on the screen, like I just loved being able to work out a little bit, compete, but I was with a lot of my friends too. So we're joking around with each other. And then afterwards, we usually do it Sunday morning. So then we'd go to the bar around the corner and we'd go to and the football game's on. So then everyone's pulling out like their fantasy football stuff. And so like I get energy from other people. And so I think it's a big piece of who I am as well is I don't want to say I'm like a chameleon, but I can blend into a lot of different environments, whether it's professional or, kind of the arts or, sports. And I just I like meeting weird people. I really do. Like
that's how you found Jordan.
The quirkier, the quirkier you are. I like, meeting new people, different vibes, different perspectives on life, even if it's, getting into uncomfortable conversations, whether it's like political or whatever, like if you've got a different view than me, like I love hearing it and just getting a better understanding of that. And so I think a lot of me, again, comes from my family, comes from my partner, but then just comes around being around a bunch of different people with different views and mindsets. And and you know, like I love that you have your faith. That's not my thing, but like I love hearing the passion behind it, and like I love the fact that you have a why,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
like that drives you. And so I think those things are really, really cool, and that kind of gets me excited and keeps me pushing, and just, you know, again, just kind of keeps me having an open mind.
Yeah. 100%.
That's so cool. I loved all that you just said, but two like main things was like, one, that you're like, my wife will call me out on stuff.
Oh.
But that's such a key to a healthy relationship, is like being able to be called out by your spouse or your significant other, and then being able to then take that information in and actually process it, and not be like, you know, if your wife's like, hey, you're being an asshole, you're like, oh my God, I am. Like my wife and I literally had that conversation that day. She's like, hey, you're being a dick. And I was like, no, I'm not. And I walked away, and I was like, man, I really was.
Yeah, it's the walk away, right? It's like, gosh, she's right again.
But then, you know, coming back and just being like, okay, I'm gonna work on it. Like let's figure it out. But and then the fact that you were saying like having conversations with people that don't necessarily believe or think or have the same ideals as you, and it's like, I feel, maybe I'm just getting on a soapbox, I feel like a lot of people have just lost that art, where it's like everything's so polarizing lately, and it's like, good, like let's have those polarizing conversations.
Things aren't as polarizing as you think if you open up that conversation.
Right.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like we've got, you know, and it goes back to the screens, right? Like the media, the social media, the news, like all of those things are, you know, divisive, and that's what gets the likes and the attention. But the more conversations you have, you actually realize we actually have a lot more in common than you'd actually think.
100%.
And you know, a lot of it actually came from my dad. He's so both my parents are lawyers, and the thing that my dad does is he just grills people. So like if there's someone new, like one of our buddies has a new friend or like a new girlfriend, like everyone like anticipates them meeting my dad, because like they're just gonna get grilled.
That's funny.
Right? And so that's part of my thing, right? Like I will ask different questions, right?
Yeah.
Like not the surface level questions. I want to like, you know, I just want to know all the things, and be able to get deeper. And so that he kind of has led that journey of me being able to have those conversations, and just get to know, you know, different people and different perspectives.
That's so awesome.
Yeah.
I think it is. It's very needed. I think the reason why things are polarizing, though, on the mass scale, is because people have forgot what this is right here, right? A conversational setting, and it doesn't need to be.
Totally.
The polarizing that we see on the stupid screens.
Totally.
I mean, dude, technology was like the biggest blessing and the biggest curse I feel like that we have.
Yeah.
And it's crazy, and dude, I see it more so because, you know, we're in coffee shops, and you see hundreds of people a day, right, all walks of life, all age groups, and it's crazy to me that, I mean, I feel like I'm getting old, and I sound old, but you know, 10 years ago, watching the coffee shops to now, especially since COVID, people have this weird like, oh my gosh, you're too close to me.
Totally.
And to just kind of see how that's even shifted in my own daily just watching of life happen, it's kind of terrifying.
It is.
And
it's totally terrifying.
It takes the three of us and all the other guys and girls out there doing what they're doing to build these communities, to try to break stigmas, to genuinely try to create value in some sort of like whatever it is, whatever niche it is, you know, like, but creating value, creating community, and creating space for people to feel like they can belong. You know, like I've been saying it for a long time, but people want three things usually. They want to be seen, known, and heard. Yeah. Right. Yeah. And that's what they want. Totally. And whether they think they want that or not, whether they say they want that or not, you know, they want to be seen, known, and heard. 100%. And it's one of the reasons why I love doing this. I don't know who you are from outside of your Instagram, right? And it's usually you talking to him anyways. Right. But I like it because I now can leave this room with this conversation and like gaining something from it, right? Two different people, two different walks of life coming together with the same goal, the same mission, as you will, to try to just create a space for dads so we can be better. Totally. And, you know, I've said it and he said it, and we're going to, again, say it all the time, and our listeners will probably get annoyed, but hopefully it's like, you know, muscle memory type thing. But it's one of those things where we just want to, it's all about just creating like a space because I genuinely think if we can be better men, there's going to be a lot less crap happening.
And a lot less crap happening for us, but
Yeah.
like especially for our kids.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like that's the end goal. Is I just want to make sure that, Hudson is happy. I want to make sure that he's happy and healthy.
Yeah.
Like honestly, it's as simple as that, right? Like I'm going to do my best to provide for him and give him the best life and all of those things. But like at the end of the day, I want to be happy and healthy and to do everything in my power to make sure that he's those two things.
I love that.
Well, I was stoked to have you on just because I felt like you're bringing back, it's sad to say old school, but I would say more genuine, real human connection again because of everything that's happened. Like going like 10 years ago, going to like a meetup of people, it would not be weird, but like now it would almost, and it's not, it almost sounds weird. And I'm not saying that your concept is weird at all.
I hear you.
So I was excited to have you on because you're bringing back actual genuine connection with people. And it's like so refreshing to hear about, so refreshing to see. And thank you for coming on. I'm excited.
Yeah. Thanks for having me, guys. This has been great.
Shoot out a couple, if you're local to Orange County. When is your next one?
Our next one is on Friday. For Father's Day, we're doing a dad's night out. We're going to Hangar 24 in Irvine, 6:30 to 8:30. And then we have, again, try to keep them 2 months out in advance. So July 20th in Costa Mesa, we're meeting up at Angel's Playground from 10 to 12. We'll have the mobile coffee cart company there. August 4th, we're going to be at Hidden House Coffee in San Juan Capistrano from 11 to 1. And then August 24th, we're going to be at Rye Goods, the Tustin location from 10 to 12.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's cool. I like that. We'll put it in the comments too. One more time, Instagram, so people can follow you.
So follow us on Instagram at the Dad Meetup. That's where you're going to get all the information. We post it on a bunch of different platforms, but if you are on Instagram, that's where you're going to get all the information.
And then shameless plug, what do you do for work?
I'm a real estate agent.
Do you have
residential?
Do you have any Instagram for that one?
Austin Nieves _real estate.
All right, I'll throw that one on there too.
Thank you.
But
awesome.
Dude, thank you so much for coming.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me. This has been great.
You're our first guest that we actually don't know.
Yeah,
I like it.
I mean,
this has been great, and I enjoyed this. I think as much as you guys did. This was great, really great conversation, and I love what you guys are doing.
Likewise.
All right. Well, thank you for another good episode. Let's go.